Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Ant-Man 3 is rotten.
Yeah, basically. Is that review bombing?
Is it review bombing if the critics think it's rotten and it's boring and most of the reviews I've read from critics are not good or mid? Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, is at 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. That makes it one of the lowest rated MCU projects ever.
I know a couple of the people who work on Pirates and Princesses went to see it and they were disappointed.
Yeah, now I have seen some people I follow on Twitter have actually given it decent reviews, but this is like the second or third time that Marvel's gotten a rotten score in the last year or two. I mean, we had Eternals, I think it wound up at like 50% or something like that, or 53%. This is not good. This is one that I was kind of on the fence about. Like, I'm like, I like Paul Rudd, I like Ant-Man, I like the other two Ant-Man movies, and we're gonna have proper Kang, so maybe it'll be okay. Nah.
No, they said it wasn't the worst. They said it was a mid-range movie is what they said.
That is like every Marvel project right now. They're all mid. New York Times said splat. We got this covered. Quantumania stinking just as much as Phase 4 has Marvel fans questioning the entire structure of the MCU.
Oh, that sounds like hate speech.
This is literally they must be full of alt-right Nazis or something over there. How you're not allowed to say this, because if you say this, you're gonna get put on a list. We got this covered.
Oh no, see, it's okay when they say it.
It's okay if they say it.
It all turns out this way. When they love something and you point out the obvious because they're too dumb to see it yet, you're a terrible person. But when they figure it out, then it becomes true, even though it was true all along.
We've got another video coming later today talking about the comic book industry. Same kind of a thing where the journalists that were the Access Media, they defended Marvel and DC for all this time. They defended the MCU all this time. Now they're like, well, hey, maybe Phase 4 is kind of a dud. Maybe these movies aren't so good after all.
And again, these critics must be review bombers.
They must be.
You know, you can't. No, if you tell the truth, it's because you're a review bomber. When they tell the truth, it's because it's the truth.
We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the rumor. And again, they've got rumors on Giant Freaking Robot. They've got rumors. The rumor that Robert Downey Jr. might come back to the MCU to save it. So let's talk about all this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. Over, where are we at? 294, almost 295,000 subs.
Yay!
Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications. We're trying to get 300,000. Yeah, you know how we've been talking about that pendulum swing? Apparently, it's okay to criticize the MCU now. Apparently, it's okay to criticize Disney now, to point out that Star Wars sucks and Marvel sucks and all this stuff isn't that great.
The real test is going to be when we have the Marvels out. If it sucks and people say it sucks, then I'll be shocked, because then you're criticizing women. Yeah,
it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think that's going to do very well at the box office. So we've got Carol Danvers and Ms. Marvel. What could possibly go wrong? That's like box office gold, right?
Right there, yeah.
So let's talk about this Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Very awkward title, by the way. 48%.
Actually, most what you read is they're all like the guy who played Kang, and Kang is like the only saving grace about this movie, but apparently they did him dirty too, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, hey, we've been waiting for Kang for years, like proper Kang, and they had like kind of sort of Kang and Loki, spoiler, and it wasn't proper Kang, but we actually get Kang the Conqueror, and apparently, yeah, it's kind of a dud. But yeah, this is interesting because, again, with Rotten Tomatoes, some of these scores do not seem like they're really that positive, but they're giving them a tomato. It's Ant-Man as if it was Star Wars written by one of the Rick and Morty writers during an off day. That's a positive.
This one here. I quite enjoyed the absolutely phantasmagorical action of Quantumania, but like Iron Man 2.
Ooh.
It would work so much better if it didn't feel like a simple buffer before we get into more urgent affairs with the Avengers.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie, but I wasn't wowed. So even the positives are mid. Let's look at another positive here. Despite being an example of why a movie shouldn't be shot almost entirely in the volume, every time Jonathan Majors steps on screen is Kang. It's an epic tale. As someone who is growing increasingly tired of Marvel Studios.
That's not okay. How dare you?
Excellent performances from Majors, Pfeiffer, and Rudd aside, this third installment certainly feels destined to be in service of the larger cogs in the MCU.
That's what's happening. All these movies, they're going down the shithole, and the reason they are is because they're just they're not letting the movies breathe and be themselves. They're just a stepping stone to something else that they're trying to wow people with. And what they need to do, and what they used to do, is they'd have the Avengers and the overall big story in there, but each of these movies would be their own thing, and they'd have a chance to, tell the stories of the characters, let the characters be the characters, and you didn't feel like, you had to rush through it to see what happens next.
So, and again, we have more praise for Kang. Kevin Feige did that interview the other day in Entertainment Weekly, and I have to wonder if that wasn't preemptive damage control, because he knew this movie wasn't that good. And this movie probably wasn't that good because they were too busy working on 55 different Disney Plus shows.
Well, here's the kicker, too. This is what's kicking off Phase 5.
Yeah.
Phase 4 was a shit show, a mixed bag of epic proportions, and everybody keeps saying, they supposedly have this big plan with Phase 5, and it seems like they're more focused on this big plan than they're focused on a good movie. And if this is the start of Phase 5, people are concerned.
Yes, we have Richard Roper. Quantumania is a mid-tier MCU film with decent enough battle sequences and some nifty visuals, but we're here mostly for the popcorn movie enjoyment of watching Paul Rudd do their thing. Again, mid-tier, we've got this one.
What are some of the negatives?
Too much going on and not in a positive way. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp is nowhere near as good as it needs to be to usher in a new phase of the MCU.
Oh, and that's a woman! And not a white woman either!
This one, though, here's another positive. Although it's rarely more than another Marvel programmer, it'll keep your attention for 2 hours.
That's their positive.
Majors is all might and menace.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is fast food when audiences demanded a 5-course meal.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick anyway. Ant-Man isn't one of their top tier ones as it is, So, I mean, I never go into an Ant-Man movie thinking, this is going to be the most epic one ever, because I know that they don't, let's be honest, they don't put as much, I think, effort into Ant-Man as they do other characters. But this sounds like it's way worse than we even thought would happen.
Yeah, he said it takes an impressive amount of ineptitude to plonk seasoned pros such as Douglas, Pfeiffer, and Murray around a table and produce little more than awkward groans as Murray wheels out his wacky Lothario shtick. Basically wasted. Mm-hmm. Basically, all these actors, they have great actors, and they're all wasted.
Marvel today is an amusement park expanding, building new rides and attractions, trying, flailing, and failing to recapture the magic of the past decade. People are over it. We're tired. You're obviously tired too. And you guys have made some really shitty choices. You have gone and taken the core people that everybody loves and replaced them. And it's not doing so well, which brings us to our next point. There is a rumor. Now, again, it's all rumor and it's giant freaking robots. So, take it with a grain of salt. However, the rumor is, and it would make sense, that they're trying to they are getting back Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark Iron Man for a new Nomad series.
So is this going to be a flashback?
Yeah, that's what they think is going to happen. Since we know it'd be Steve Rogers, but they don't know if they can get back Chris Evans. Yeah. And now he's going to be Nomad because he found out the president worked for whatever organization, and now he's going to do his thing where he changes his name to Nomad. But he's going to go back in time to replace the Infinity Stones, which they already did in the one movie. So that's why I'm kind of like, is this true or not?
Yeah.
And then in the past, they'd have Tony Stark in the past, and it would once again be Robert Downey Jr. They said Vision would probably be here, too, because he'd have to return the stone to Vision and stuff like that. So they're bringing back characters people want.
So basically, this is a low-key Avengers sequel, prequel, which is, again, these are the characters people actually care about.
Right.
And Disney kind of learned that the hard way with Star Wars. They tried to replace all the original trilogy characters, only to have the biggest crowd-pleasing moment be when proper Luke Skywalker returned to The Mandalorian.
Exactly. And we're going to do this again because they made all these choices to bring all these new characters in, or basically what they did was for every character they have a modern year replacement for, and it didn't do well with comics, and it's not doing that hot with the shows and the movies, which it's a damn shame that nobody saw that coming and nobody warned them or told them it was a bad idea. Too bad somebody didn't say something.
it's really interesting to see all of this happen in the last like 6 months, basically with threat of layoffs at a lot of these blogs, that the friendly media has decided to start telling the truth. Yeah, they just decided to start telling the truth, and they've done a complete 180 in their opinion, because again, just a couple of years ago, if you had opinions like this, that the MCU was broken, that Star Wars was broken, that some of these movies maybe weren't that great, you were literally a Nazi. Like they
You were
literally
alt-right, you're a misogynist,
chase you around the internet and call
racist,
you. Yep.
You were a man-baby troll who lived in their mom's basement, an incel. Let the list go on and on. And it didn't matter if you were, not white, straight, and male. That didn't matter either. Even though they kept saying they were defending you, they lumped you in with everybody else because you didn't agree with their narrative.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see where these blogs go going forward. I don't think a lot of them are going to be around, because I think that YouTubers have actually replaced these blogs, and that's why they went so hard in the paint against YouTubers, and they tried to be contrary, was because they wanted to basically discredit them, run them out, and it didn't happen, and now they look stupid. Now they're having to walk it back, and you will never get an apology. None of us will ever get apologies for being literally called Nazis by some of the people that worked at Anime News Network. It'll just go down the memory hole, and they will hope and pray that their jobs don't get taken from them. And then the irony in all this would be if their jobs did get snapped away and they came to us looking for work.
Oh, they're not going to. I just think it's funny because if they hadn't have double standards, they wouldn't have standards at all. And I'm just tired of it. And it's like they just say the same thing you've been saying all this time, but now it counts because it's them. It's like, you know what? Fuck you. Don't care. Just sit and spin.
Oh my God.
Kiss my ass. Fight me.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.